भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय।
So, today we're beginning the 8th chapter of the 4th canto, Dhruva Maharaj's story. Who would like to do the honors of start to read? Please feel free, unmute, go ahead.
I'll do.
Please.
Chapter 8, Child Dhruva goes to the forest. Maitreya described the origin of all inauspicious qualities. He then narrates the history of Prince Dhruva, who was insulted at a tender age by his stepmother and father. On his mother's advice, Dhruva seeks out Lord Vishnu to ask him for a boon. The sun was dropping towards the western horizon. Parikshit looked over the placid waters of the Ganges, where small fishing boats slowly made their way towards shore. He sat in silent thought, reflecting on Shukdeva's word. Daksha had offended Shiva out of arrogance. He had offended Shamika in the same way. The king covered his face with his hands and bowed his head. Are you well? Asked Shukdeva. Parikshit looked up. How kind was the Lord! He showed mercy even to grievous offender. We need only feel repentant. With folded palm, he addressed Shukdeva. I am more than well, great sage. You are mercifully purifying my heart with these divine recitations. If it so please you, pray tell me what else transpired between those great souls, Maitreya and Vidura. Listen, dear king, replied Shukdeva. In the dim light of early dawn, Vidura made his way to the nearby lake and dipped into the cool water. On a nearby grassy knoll, he saw Maitreya seated, absorbed in meditation. After bathing, Vidura sat near him and quietly chanted Krishna's name. When Maitreya's body was warmed by the rising sun, he fully opened his half-closed eyes and smiled at his friend. Shall we resume? Certainly, said Vidura. I am eager to know how the creation unfolded. Pray tell me, did any of Brahma's other sons have progeny?
Okay, let's pause there. Thank you. There was one realization I had yesterday studying Srimad Bhagavatam, that we study all these names and different stories that happen, all the intricate reasons behind why a certain devotee behaved in certain ways and why that person had a certain situation. And we may think like, why do I need to know all those things? Why don't I just directly glorify the Lord? And then there were two answers. One answer that our Vaishnava acharyas give is that by even just remembering pious devotees and great devotees, we get the benefit of being purified in our consciousness, in our intentions, in our attitude. So it's not so much about mentally figuring out what we can learn. It's so much about just the samskaras of learning about these personalities, They say, right, when you praise somebody, or when you praise somebody, you get their qualities, and then when you criticize somebody, you'll also get that anartha in you, and that person that you criticize will become free of that anartha. So how powerful this consciousness is. So when we actually download our consciousness with great personalities and the stories that remain in our mind, in our subconscious mind, in a strong way, and those samskaras get imprinted, then the human tendency to kind of glide down into tamasic gossips, and who did what, which devotee married who, what happened, who divorced who, what is going on, all this kind of junk that the mind wants to absorb will be a very, very distant possibility in that case. The human mind is a social animal. We are all social animals. And that's why, when Vyasadeva first wrote Mahabharata, he wrote it with that intention that all this stories of Kauravas and Pandavas and all the details of it and everything, it's full of intrigue. There's politics, there's romance, there is drama, there is violence, there is everything. There is mysticism, right? There's science fiction, everything. There is comedy, there's everything that you can find in the movies today, all the genre that you can go and browse in the in movie categories of movies. It's all found in Mahabharata. And so that's the masterpiece, of Vyasadeva for the Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Upadrita. Those people who are not attracted to study the scriptures, those people who are very unintelligent and they only think about their own sense gratification and enjoyment. Then he presented Mahabharata to those people who are not so much into directly glorifying the Lord. Whereas Srimad Bhagavatam is a mature fruit of Vyasadeva's works, where here he is talking, the people that he mentioned, the stories that he mentions, is not anymore in the category of just attracting the minds of those people who may not want to glorify the Lord. This is meant to glorify and understand those devotees who are pure, and those devotees who have attained pure devotional service. So there's two categories. And I was observing how like people around me that I know, friends, students, some people really have this nature to fill their minds with stories of who's doing what, what's happening around, in these things. When I I'm in Mayapur, like only last few years, like full time. Before we were traveling a lot, and when I noticed that how the whole social dynamics is placed, it can be very unhealthy even in a devotional community. And if we don't absorb ourselves and look forward every day, every morning, every evening, engage ourselves in thinking Bhagavatam way, wearing the lens of Srimad Bhagavatam, then the mind gets contaminated with all this Gramya Katha and the social things and this and that. It's inevitable. It's like either this or that. We can't just remain saying, I will not get affected. Even studying Srimad Bhagavatam, when something happens, somebody says something, the mind gets agitated. But my experience is that because of Srimad Bhagavatam, I process it quickly. Something happened, there was a devotee store, and the way they asked for the money, I felt like a little bit hurt. And I was thinking, without Srimad Bhagavatam, I would have given more power to it. I would have felt bad for days. But because of Srimad Bhagavatam, the perspective changes. And I'm thinking like, no, look at the whole Daksha story. The whole point was to think, oh, why am I not treated better? Or, all the entitlement thing, or thinking that I am great or whatever. And then I said, oh, let me cut that out. Let me process this. And then it was much easier. The distance between the disturbance and the processing reduces when we keep Bhagavatam as our value system, as our principle. Madeka bandhu matsangi madguru man mahadana man nishtaraka madbhagya madananda namostute. Because Srimad Bhagavatam is our only friend, is our guide, is our well-wisher, is a teacher, is the one who brings good fortune. And all these things are so true, in practical life. And I was thinking of how Mahabharata became very famous. This this teleserial they made, Mahabharata. And it became so popular because, again, people are very attracted to all these genres of politics and drama and adventure and mysticism, and everything is mixed, and people are very attracted. But we may wonder why, when I give Bhagavatam class, like one of our students after our recording, she sent a message expressing how she wondered why when she does Bhagavatam readings or in our groups, there are not so many people. Why it's like less. And then I explained that there are less people to buy diamonds. You'll find a lot of people buying puchkas or people who buy chocolates. Obviously, the number of clients are much more. But when you're selling diamonds, you cannot expect the number of people who that go to buy potatoes will not come to buy diamonds. So the matter of fact is that people may be attracted to certain kind of literature that satisfies their mind, but Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for a higher class of people. And even the Bhagavata Purana itself is for those in the mood of Sattva Guna, for those who are really interested in developing their self-realization and relationship with the Lord and progress in their devotional life. So even if there is nobody, once Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture and there was a huge hall and there was nobody in the hall, and then the devotees asked Srila Prabhupada after the lecture, Srila Prabhupada, there was nobody, no audience came, it was a huge flop, but you spoke as if the room was filled with 10,000 people. And then Srila Prabhupada explained, what, you didn't see? We were discussing Bhagavatam, and therefore there was Narad Muni present there. And like Prabhupada had a completely different perspective. So it's like that when we're studying Srimad Bhagavatam, all the demigods also will assist and facilitate and come. And we may not have many diamond buyers, but Srimad Bhagavatam is that gem that gives us the solace. I'm trying to read the audio book of Krishna Dharma Prabhu's Mahabharata. Yes, Mataji Snehhavati Gandharvika, there is. Oh yeah, and when we start Srimad Bhagavatam, no, it's the it's like the mango. Pipata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is so tasty. You bite in one place, it's delicious. You bite in another place, it's delicious. Especially in the Sangha of devotees, and we can actually like explain to each other and clarify doubts and share realizations, just like in the Kapila Dev story, Devahuti and the ladies would discuss after Kapila Dev was done speaking for the day. That enhances our consciousness, and we get tighter in our bhakti, it becomes more condensed. I have a friend who went through like a traumatic war zone area. They grew up in a war zone and their country was attacked, and they had to like go through this. They saw people dying, the bombs were thrown into the places, and they had to do service of watching dead bodies and like moving dead bodies. And then they had parents also were karmis and meat eaters, and also they were very they had their own issues. Okay, the parents like severe issues and infidelity, etc. And then they carry this trauma and this samskara, and then they even in ISKCON they went into different political positions and this and that. And now whenever we're discussing Bhagavatam or whenever we're discussing philosophy, I can see that layers and layers and layers of trauma and betrayals and so many failed relationships and all these things, and a very difficult marriage and difficulty with children. But the way that influenced them has created so many layers, and I can see that it needs a lot of patience to wash away those samskaras. And we are very fortunate, those of us that can study Srimad, that can afford, it's a luxury actually, to be able to afford study Bhagavatam 1 hour, 2 hours a day. Such a luxury, I'm realizing, because people are engaged in doing business and doing this kind of and administration and taking the hits of people. All those kinds of people, for them, it's so much more difficult to remove those layers and layers of samskara. And then it becomes it becomes almost like a dream, like a fantasy, to one day experience Srimad Bhagavatam in a pure, deepest, vulnerable, most humble way. Because you're learning to guard yourself against other people, and they're hurting you and betraying you, etc. But when we can do this like how we are doing, we are so fortunate because we can afford to do it. We are lucky. We are given with this blessing to be connected to Mahaprabhu's movement and study Bhagavatam like this. This kind of study, we are deeply processing it and applying it in our life and trying to see the relevance in our life and asking the Lord to remove all these layers of samskaras. We're very fortunate, we came from families which we were protected. We didn't go through the war kind of experience. We didn't have failed relationships and whatnot. And, we didn't have those kind of betrayals, because all those things causes certain kind of wounds, which can either uplift us to such a great degree that we surrender. Some of these foreign devotees, the way they surrendered and joined the movement is much more glorious than us Indians. We grew up in traditional families, even if it's not a Hindu family, we grew up, with culture, with tradition. And then when we come to Krishna consciousness, we kind of continue, okay, this is my religion now or something. But for the Western devotees, such a huge change. But Srimad Bhagavatam, which is for the unconventional, now we'll see Dhruva Maharaj, he's not going to abide by the father and the stepmother. He's going to do something different. Prahlad Maharaj didn't abide by the father. So we study Kunti Devi's prayers. We study Draupadi's prayers, and then Draupadi is much better than many of the male devotees and even demigods and etc., which is like completely outside of our culture, what we studied. Listen to your father, do what your father says, listen to your parents, be humble with your parents. No, Bhagavatam is another level. Everything is on not like breaking rules, but for the pleasure of the Lord, breaking rules for Prema Bhakti. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that without Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll be lost like so many other people, and who knows how many lifetimes of purification would have been needed. But we are very fortunate we can afford to do what we're doing. Thank you. Someone else likes to continue? Snehavati Mataji, would you like to read a little bit?
Okay, Mataji. Material from there, right?
Yeah, the first, yeah.
Maitreya said, many of Brahmana's sons never married, preferring to remain lifelong celibates. These included the four Kumara brothers headed by Sanaka, Narada, Rivu, Hamsa, Aruni, and Yatim. There was a demoniac lineage descending from Brahma that I think you will find fascinating. He had a son named Irreligion and a daughter named Falsity. They had an incestuous relationship from which came another boy and girl, bluffing and cheating. These two children were nearly from the incestuous union of bluffing and cheating came a boy and girl named Greed and Cunning, and whose union resulted to pain and hell. Pious and faithful person can guard himself from.
I don't know if it's only me, Snehavati. Can I ask Taruni Radha and Rajeshwari Radhika Mataji, were you able to hear her clearly?
No, some breaking is there.
Yeah, I think it's her internet, maybe. Because I couldn't hear the second part.
It may
Yeah, like even now I don't hear her.
Malaysia because my network is not so good.
Can you hear us, Snehavati Mataji? Can you hear us?
I can hear you, but I think it may happen that from your side you may not be able to hear because my network is not so good. Sometimes it happens.
You know what happens? I can't hear anything. And then after a while, everything is forwarded 4 times faster. And then like that, it happens. And something is happening like this.
I think it would be better if someone can read and
You see, even now the words are breaking. Okay, I think we can have someone else read. Thank you. Yeah, but this is a very wow. This is
audible for
mind blowing. What we're reading here is mind blowing. Demoniac lineage descending from Brahma, and it is definitely fascinating. I would like to understand how this things works, though. Any of you have any thoughts how this works?
I just have one comment. Like I think if I have understood it correctly, from brother and sister, it's kind of irreligious relationship which gave birth to some children, right?
Yeah, it sounds very I don't know, like it sounds very different than many
Uh,
stories that we have read.
yeah, I just had one realization like before because nowadays many
Hey,
people even
Hamati, you can speak little slowly because then maybe we'll hear you better. Yeah,
oh,
please carry on.
so I was trying to say like in our society, even though many Hindu peoples are there and all, since they don't have any like knowledge about Bhagavatam like
Mm,
thoroughly, in society we see sometimes right this kind of irreligious union happen and we all of a sudden become like very shocked. Oh, how it can happen? When we see in Bhagavatam it's already there, then it
true.
does become like very shocking. We know that from the time immemorial it's happening, in material world.
Yeah.
Irreligious happens. And they will I'm sure it will also give some instruction maybe how to stop this.
Yes.
Uh, like nothing become like after knowing it from scripture, nothing is shocking that you know that material world is bad, you have to go out and
Kali Yuga.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there are news about people like this, like brother and sister marrying each other or having children, or even sometimes the father and daughter, they have children and stuff. And of course, also the gay kind of relationships and all. It's all there mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But the thing is, it only creates troubles. That's the point. I mean, even a relationship between man and woman will create trouble anyway in this material. It's not like attraction between a man and woman who are from a different family. It's more like let's not think that that's always holy or something. Sometimes we have opinions about homosexuals that, oh, they are demoniac. Well, there is nothing divine in some man and woman who are attracted to each other if it's not religious principle. That's also demoniac anyway. Like sometimes we judge people based on um, our own perspective. But as you're saying, Srimad Bhagavatam has given us so many stories, both of like Brahma's sons. They themselves had conflicts amongst each other. And so if we see in ISKCON there are conflicts, we should not be surprised. It's time immemorial. There have been conflicts and difference of opinion and power and position, and Daksha and Shiva, and Daksha and Shiva both are sons of Brahma only. Didn't they fight like that? True.
My understanding in this, like, everything is there, but sometimes one get, profound. So on uh, that one quality, when it's on its peak, so that get influenced the person. So, like, as we read in the Bhagavatam or the other scriptures, so at the time of conception, what is your thoughts? That soul will attract, same soul. So it's similar. Like everything is there in everyone. Like you cannot say that that person is 100% in the sattva guna. See, if we don't have tamo guna, then we can't sleep. So we need the tamo guna and rajo guna and sat guna. So like that one particular time, one quality is like more prominent, like a demoniac quality. Like we think on that, it's a very peak. So that's
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Taruni Radha, you able to read? A pious, faithful person can guard himself from the devastating influence of these personalities by carefully studying their lineage at least 3 times.
Should I read
Yes,
after
please.
that? Okay. I had actually a question. I was waiting for the conversation and end. So my question is regarding this homosexuality, right? So
Mhm.
some people they're saying that the brain is wired from the time that they're born like that. And then some people, like, because of the learning or the environment like that, they develop that kind of a feeling, right? Like gay, like how you were thinking, gay marriage and all that. So what is the reality? Is it like from the time they're born, the brain works like that, or is it that they just the environment kind of influences?
Well, I can give you an answer to 2 levels. One in the Shastric perspective of finding there are stories of this kind of things and what the Prabhupada said, etc. But the other perspective that I am, let's say, more expert with is astrology. I have checked the charts of people who are homosexual people. And what I see is it's not so much about the brain, it's more to do with the subtle body. So there are some people who just are more, they are actually not men or whatever, like in case of gay men or something. They just have a body which is like a male, but actually their subtle body is very female, and they are like that. In one sense you can say it is they are born like that. Another point, very important point, is that also some certain planetary periods trigger those kind of behaviors. Like you may say, but in their young age they never got involved, how suddenly they did? Because those particular planetary whatever times did not get triggered until then. Having said that, in modern day Kali Yuga is so degrading and hopeless, and we can't trust anything. Is the fact that a lot of these people, yeah, some of them may be whatever you call bisexual or something like that, but a lot of these people are just so bored with life that they just want to try anything and everything, and they're not actually gays. And then they're just so mentally disturbed and everything. Like I watched one documentary about what do you call these chakkas, no, the transgenders. So it was a documentary very nicely done. It spoke about a lot of these people. They have such identity crisis. Sometimes they end up doing operation, right? Like they are born as a man, but they actually always felt like a woman and they will identify themselves as woman. And then they go through these surgeries and all, right? I mean, I understand the pain that documentary shared, how painful it is to be in a body that you don't fit in and you don't feel right, etc. And then many of those people said that they regretted the surgery that they did because they thought that will give them some sort of happiness. So what I'm saying is there is on a level of karma, astrology, like that time immemorial type of curses or whatever. But on another level in Kali Yuga, people are so messed up that they just want to try anything and everything. So many people are trying to change their gender. So many people are trying to like adjust their identity crisis with some external surgeries and things. And these are very, very tamasic ways of trying to solve a material problem of some karma. In the previous life, they didn't treat women nicely, etc. And then in this lifetime, they have a body of a man, but then the mind, or like you said, the mind, and I'm saying like the subtle body of a woman, and then their experiences makes them go through certain emotions which are supposed to purify them and make them humble and take shelter of God, like that. And they may make peace or they may create more complicated karma. And then in case of those people who just want to experiment, they just want to explore, they just want to try things, they don't even know they're in crisis. They think, oh, maybe I should try gay relationship, maybe I should try a lesbian relationship. There are all categories. That's what I'm trying to say. We can't judge every case with the same lens. There are cases where it's genuine karmic thing where I know one devotee couple, they are both Prabhus, they're Kadam Karan Maharaj disciples like that, very, how do you say, fixed and initiated and Brahmanas and like this, and they are a couple. They live together, and the point is not whether we are attracted to a man or a woman. The point is whether we can follow the principles and stick to our um, um, stick to our spiritual advancement. Like that. I know some devotees who are, I know even a devotee couple that the like the husband, I saw them like now, right now, like in Mayapur, I saw them as husband and wife, but that Prabhu used to be a Mataji before, and they were actually in a relationship, like they were in a whatever, a lesbian relationship, and then later on that Mataji became Prabhu. They changed, she changed the gender, and now he's a man, and they're still together as husband and wife. The point I'm trying to make is there is a standard, okay? There's a highest standard. We have to be free from Kama Krodha and all that, and we have to attain Krishna Prema. We should perform 100% devotional service. And then there is a fact of where we are, our samskaras, our attractions, our needs, our relational situation. And it may be that we are in a difficult marriage, or it may be that we are in a homosexual body, meaning that we have attraction for the same sex. It doesn't matter. The point is, are we advancing? The point is, are we going beyond these things? Because even in a relationship with a husband and wife, still we are advancing, right? Still we're giving up some sense gratification and moving forward. So, simple answer to your question is there are varieties of people. There are genuine cases, there are false cases, there are crazy cases, there are success cases, there are failure cases, and there are devotee cases. And those devotee cases are trying their best, to stick to, no, there are levels, stick to one partner. Okay, so eventually give up the activity which is not, by whatever, auspicious. Even many married couple, they don't have sexual relationship. They just support each other emotionally, socially, especially after a few years of marriage. As devotees, you have children and you raise them. Many people don't. So even as a gay couple, they don't have children, obviously. And even if they want to adopt or something, there are different things coming up. But the point is, they grow towards Krishna together, and they have feelings for each other. They're emotionally connected, and the intimacy is not only physical intimacy. There are so many different levels of intimacy. And then the point is to give up. Everybody has to give up every attraction anyway. Why only attraction for same sex? We have to give up attraction for opposite sex also. How much we read in Bhagavatam that how dangerous it can be to be attracted to the opposite sex. So my conclusion is we should not be judgmental. We should give the benefit of the doubt. And like I said, there are success stories of those people who accepted their sexuality and they're working on their progress in Krishna consciousness. And there are people who are struggling, and we just pray for everybody, bless everybody to attain Krishna. All these things are ultimately connected to the material body. You shouldn't worry too much about it. Whatever we are, we focus on Krishna. Anyway. Okay, let's see. So there's some questions or something. Oh yeah, there's a huge controversy about gay marriages in ISKCON. Some gurus are okay with it. Like I know gurus who allowed their they even gave initiation to, like I told you, one couple I know, they even got initiated. Kadam Karan Maharaj initiated both of them. Both of them are Kadam Karan Maharaj disciple. And they live together, and everybody knows that they are a gay couple. I know of several devotees actually. I know another devotee also is even a leader like that. The guru is fine, is okay, as long as you are in a committed relationship, as long as you are performing devotional service. What is such a big difference in one sense? Yes, it is less what do you call it? It's like, poverty. Yes, it's nice to have money, right? Yeah, it's nice to be straight person or something kind of. But if you're not straight, means if you're poor, what to do? Like that, if you're a gay, it's not very normally accepted in society. You will be blamed or shamed or whatever. But some gurus are wise. They say all these things. Don't give importance to that. Work on developing Krishna Prema. Develop your higher taste. Then attraction for men and women and everything has to go away anyway.
Oh, very nice message. Thank you. I always was, yeah, especially it's coming up a lot in America. So your insights are like very solid to understand. There's a lot of thing happening in America regarding all this, the LGBTQ something, that whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's very, very big. So why is it happening? And all that. So your perspectives are very relevant to understand.
I know a couple of devotees who are like in a position of leadership. They were very against LGBTQ, whatever, like that. By the way, there's a website even for devotees who are LGBT, like that. So I know this couple of devotees that were having really hard time in accepting congregation members who had issues in that regard. And I heard them like telling, some parent came and said, oh, my child is gay and this and that. And then they say nothing, what gay and all, nothing like that. It's just like they try to force the kid out of whatever. And then the person was having a hard time to make peace, accepting some congregation child that way. And then 2-3 years later, it turned out that the child of the same leader also was a homosexual person. And it really humbled this person so much, because they were able to understand that it's not such an easy thing to just tell somebody, especially if it's a genuine case. Again, let me mention that, because there's so many are not genuine cases as well. Some just crazy kid that just wants to explore, and all that. There are those cases, but in cases of genuine people coming out of their, whatever you call it, closet and this and that, they come out. I mean, I'm not very let's say I don't know many of the details and all that, but in principle, the point is, for Krishna consciousness, we have studied, there are so many prostitutes who attain Krishna Prema. There are demons who attain Krishna Prema, and this and that. So we shouldn't become like stuck on this little social issue that, oh, somebody has a different sexual preference. So what? Your goal is still the same. Why a man and a woman, in between them, there is no obstacles, or what? There are no Maya and illusion and demonic tendency, or what? The demonic tendency is to try to enjoy the other person, right? That's the demonic tendency. So if we could only be more, we're not saying we should not encourage this kind of activities, no, but we should be compassionate to those suffering and struggling in this regard. We are not promoting the action, but we are trying to accept and understand what this person is going through, and what in that person's case, what dharma would mean, and what would it mean for them sacrifice, what would it mean for them advancement. What you're going to do, if our own child is a homosexual, what you're going to throw it in the garbage or what? No, we still help the kid, right? We can't just force. It's like, imagine, what is the thing? Like, if we are attracted to a certain kind of food, or we are attracted to whatever, like even a man, okay, you're attracted to a man. If a child is attracted to a specific boy, and then we're not just going to tell the person, oh yeah, that relationship failed, don't worry, move on, just focus on something else. No, we stay with the kid, and we try to help them to go over those things emotionally. So why are gay people different? They're also humans, they're also souls, they're also devotees. I mean, especially if they're devotees, I'm saying. Of course, devotional life can help them to understand that, hey, finally I have to follow regulative principles, okay? That's the goal. Whether you're gay, pay, sannyasi, grihastha, doesn't matter. Eventually, our goal is to come to that point of not engaging in, sex life, which is not meant for children eventually, right? Wherever we are, that's our goal. So let's work towards it, help each other, and establish and stabilize in that regard. There's no point of rejecting and judging people or talking in favor of it, whatever. Krishna is the goal, okay? Let's move on. That's kind of my understanding. But it's a very sensitive topic. Some gurus are against it. I remember one person told somebody, it's very interesting, right? Somebody was in a relationship previously, and then their mentor is like, you're not supposed to be in a relationship until you get married. And that person is like, yeah, but 5 years ago I was in a relationship. Yeah, but that's not, that's not supposed to be done. And then they get like lecturing. And then similarly, like, you're not supposed to be gay. Being gay is really bad, and this and that. And okay, but what do you do? I am. So it's like that. Okay, I am of that sexual orientation. What do I do from here? We need mature leaders to guide. If the immature leaders guide them, they will either leave Krishna consciousness or commit suicide. Or how many gay people commit suicide, especially in India. It is still like coming slowly. But astrologically, it's not like very extraordinary, because I see a lot of people have this planets, when Rahu and Ketu, they are in certain positions, it has like sexual preferences are very weird and unconventional, and they get into this, it's a suffering. Honestly, it's a suffering. It's also one of the diseases. We all have different diseases, and being attracted to a woman being attracted to a man is also a disease, and a woman being attracted to woman is also a disease. It's just how do we work on it? Socially, man-woman relationship is a little more accepted, but even man-woman relationship, if it's illicit, it's illicit. So illicit is illicit. That's it. That's the truth. But then we go towards the goal. So this is what we're reading.
Yeah, best perspective I've ever heard about this. Because there's so much of what do you say? Yeah, so much of conversation happening, but that's like mainstream. But regarding the devotee perspective that you brought out is very powerful. It's so nice. I like the way you said demons also attain Krishna. Even a prostitute has also attained Krishna. Pingala, right? So different people, different backgrounds, different, different, so many different backgrounds and so many different orientations. If they can attain Krishna, and whatever anybody else wants to judge them, right? Beautiful. Really liked it. Thank you.
Kubja, Kubja was actually a society girl. She was actually a prostitute. What was really perplexing for me, since we're talking about it, when I read that Kubja had these lusty desires for Krishna, and then Prabhupada compares her love to iron, whereas the love of the gopis to gold and everything. And I was thinking, oh my God, after being with Krishna, how could she be with any other man again? Like, how could she continue her profession? I'm just saying. But then I heard, so many other stories which also connected me with the consciousness level of, okay, it was her profession. You remember that there is a story. There was a lady who was a prostitute, and her neighbor was a Brahmana man. So every morning, this Brahmana will sit and do his mantras and gayatris and everything. And this woman will watch through the window. And then she'll say, wow, this person's life is so nice. This person is so absorbed in Krishna consciousness, and he's so lucky, he can chant mantras and everything. So every morning she'll meditate on his actions. And then this guy will every evening look through the window and see that the clients are coming to her, and all that. And then he will meditate on her activities, and then say, oh, how sinful, look how chi and whatnot. And he will keep meditating on the actions of this prostitute. So at one point, when the Yamadutas come, and the Yamadutas come for him, and then he says, hey, you made a mistake. It's next door, not me. It's the other one, that lady there. She's the prostitute. The Yamaduta said, no, it's not a mistake. Actually, she's going to spiritual world because she was constantly meditating on your actions. And although you were acting in Brahmanical ways, you are constantly meditating on her actions. So you get the result of her actions, and she gets the result of your actions. So we are taking you, come with us. So this story also changed my perspective on these topics, such as people who fall down, people who have weakness of senses, people who have illicit relationships, people who have to deal with illicit child and raising them in a society, people who are homosexuals, people who have all these difficulties in their relationship because of their homosexuality. It all gave me the perspective that what am I going to, with what eyes am I going to look at them? Am I going to look at them with the eyes of Srimad Bhagavatam, or am I going to look at them with this Indian conditioning of should be, should not be? It's like, everybody should be at least 5 feet and 4 inches. What if we're not? What if we're 5 feet and that's it? What are we going to do about it? So, Krishna consciousness is not even based on our profession, not even based on our actions. Seriously, that's why Prabhupada said, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. No wonder that prostitute lady attained spiritual destination, and no wonder this Brahmana man attained hellish planets, because he was constantly meditating on her actions. So the point is, what are we meditating on? Are we meditating on judging people, categorizing them according to their actions? I know this couple that I was talking to you about. These Prabhus are way more devotional than many men who are leaders, who sit on the Vyasasana and give classes and whatnot and whatnot. These devotees are so good. I'm going to stop the live here because I